Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing a video that I've wanted to do for quite a while now, and it's going to be a full face using only Gosh makeup products. So everything you see on my face right now is from the brand Gosh, or Gosh Copenhagen as they're also called. They are a brand that you can get here in the UK from Superdrug, and the brand is also cruelty free and they are vegan friendly. And I have got so much makeup from Gosh. I am on their PR list, so I get new releases all the time of all the new products, and I got a package the other week of all their new products, so I wanted to collate them all together into a video and basically do a full face using only Gosh makeup products. And I think for me personally, whenever I've watched these kind of videos myself, I've always made a judgment about whether I want to buy a product based on that particular video, so I think it's always interesting to see what other people think of the products. I am in no way obliged to make this video, but I just wanted to make it just to have a little bit of fun and just to really see what I thought of the products. I'm going to get straight on into this look and I hope you all enjoy it. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to start off by priming my face, and I'm going to be using this Primer Plus Skin Adapter, and it is anti-pollutant, which means that it protects your skin against environmental aggressors, and it's also a chameleon primer. And what this basically means is that it will change to synergize with the natural colour of your skin. So I'm going to put a bit of this on the back of my hand, just a little bit, and then I'm going to smooth this onto my face. And with this primer, you do have to really work it in, because obviously it does change to the skin colour, so you really have to make sure that you work it into the skin so that it all blends in nicely. It does make my skin feel really smooth, this primer, and it is really nice and light on the skin as well, and it creates a really nice base for any makeup that I put on over the top. Now that I've put on my primer, I'm now going to be using a colour corrector, and I've got this colour correcting kit from Gosh. Now what I like about this one is that it has 5 different shades in there. So you've got a red, a lilac, a green, a yellow and a peach tone colour, and today I'm going to be using the green colour to correct any redness from where I've got blemishes, and then I'm going to be using a little bit of the peachy tone colour underneath my eyes just to brighten them a little bit. So I'm just going to be taking this on a little blending brush, and I'm going to start off by using the green colour first. I'll just dab a little bit of that on my brush and then just kind of get that on the blemishes, any redness, because with green colour correctors they're actually meant to cancel out any redness in your skin. And then I'm going to be taking the peach shade and I'm just going to be applying a little bit of that under my eyes just to brighten them up a little bit. So now onto foundation. I'm actually going to be using a new release from Gosh, and I got sent this in a PR package a week ago. And it's the Foundation Plus Cream Compact Foundation, and it's a cream to powder foundation. To be honest, I've never tried anything like this before. I don't really use cream or any powder foundations, but I thought I'd give this one a try just because I haven't ever used anything like this before. So my shade that I have here is in the shade 002, and this apparently has really high coverage and it's lightweight, so we're going to test that theory today. Oh, okay, so this is actually a cream, and I'm not sure how I apply this because I'm so used to using a sponge. I think what I'll do is I'll put it on with a foundation brush, so I'll lay down the actual foundation and product with the brush, and then I'll blend with the sponge. My god, anyone would think I'm building a new bridge over the Thames or something. I'm just wondering how much I actually need to actually get the full coverage, because like I said, I don't really use much things like this really, so I'm not sure how much is enough. I'm just going to blend that out using my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge like I always do. I mean, what's new there? I'm not too sure about the coverage because I am used to using a liquid foundation, but it does feel quite light on the skin. I might need to put a little bit more on the forehead, but it seems to be a pretty good match for me actually. Another thing I like about it is quite smooth when it applies. Okay, so that's the foundation on. Thoughts about this, it's very lightweight, like it doesn't feel like I've got lots of product on the skin, which I do quite like. I probably would say I would use this more in the summer because I do like more of a liquid foundation. I do like the colour match. I think it's a really good colour for my skin tone, and I think it is quite a nice feeling foundation, and I think if you prefer this kind of formula then this might be up your alley. Now onto concealer. I'm going to be using the Contour Cover and Conceal Stick, which is basically an array of different concealers and contour sticks that they do, and the shade that I have is light. And I'm going to start by drawing triangles under my eyes, and then I'm going to blend it in using my sponge. I'm going to just put this on to any uneven areas I have on my skin at the moment, on my nose, and then any blemishes that I have. Then I'm just going to blend that all in using the same sponge. So I've done my concealer and the coverage is pretty good. I'm not too sure about it under my eyes because I think it can bring out the texture a little bit and it can cling to patches a little bit. So I'm not sure if I'd use this underneath my eyes, to be honest, because of the formula. I do prefer more of a liquid concealer because I think it blends better. But for blemishes, for any other areas of my face where I might want to correct it a little bit, things like that, I would definitely use it. Now I'm going to set my under eye area with a little bit of powder, and I have this Prime and Set primer and mattifying setting powder, and it's in the shade Banana, so it's like a banana powder. I think banana powders have been popular ever since the Ben Nye banana powder, and all drugstores are bringing out their own versions of banana powders. So I'm going to apply a little bit of this to my under eye area using a little Real Techniques setting brush. I'm only going to use a little bit of this just because I don't like putting loads of powder on my face, and I think because of that foundation I don't need to, because that is more of a matte foundation. So that's the powder done. Now I actually do really like this because I have tried other banana powders and sometimes I notice they do leave a little bit of a yellowy tinge to the under eye area. Maybe I'm not using them as I should do, but I've just used that one and I haven't noticed any yellowy tinge, which I do really like. It has really applied quite translucent, but it does feel like it's really set that area and it feels nice and matte, which I quite like. So I am really happy with this actually. It's very finely milled as well. It's got quite a nice texture to it and it doesn't feel like it's clung to any patches on my eyes or clung to any pores. I do quite like that, and I think that would definitely be something I would use a bit more often. Now moving on to my contour, I'm going to be using another one of the CCC sticks like I used for my concealer, and this is in the shade Medium. Now I'm not entirely sure if it's going to blend really well because I've not got no bronzer on, I've got no fake tan on, and this is more of an orangey tinge. And when I use contour, I go for more of an ashy tone because of my pale skin tone, but I'll give it a go. I'll blend it out and we'll see how we get on with it. And then I'm going to blend that out using a Real Techniques Bold Metals brush in 301. I don't think this is going to suit me at the moment. I have used this before when I had tan on and it was fine, but right now I think it's a bit too orangey tone for me because I've got no tan on. So I've blended it and it's kind of disappeared. You can't really see much of it now. Can you see that there's not really much of a line there? Maybe I'm blending too hard. So I've just blended all of that out, and actually now it seems to have mellowed out a little bit. I mean, I think it is still a little bit too orangey tone for me, but I think if I had tan on or fake tan or bronzer on anything, it'd be fine. But at the moment it is a bit too orangey tone, so I don't think I would use this when I'm pale. I think this would be the sort of thing I would use more in the summer, to be honest. Now I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to be using one of the highlighter shades from the CCC stick collection, and this is in the shade Vanilla. So it's quite a light shade, and I'm just going to draw that on my cheekbones and I'm just going to blend it out using a sponge. So that's the highlighter blended. It is very natural. It's the sort of highlighter I'd say go for if you prefer a very natural highlighter, or if you don't like anything too glittery or too metallic or sparkly, like something quite simple and quite understated and subtle. So I think that's the sort of highlighter that I would use if I was going for a very simple makeup look. It is very pretty. It has got kind of a nice gold reflex to it, but it is very subtle. Now onto blusher. I'm going to be using one of their Lumi drops, and this is in the shade Rose Gold. Now this, to be honest, you could use as a highlighter and blusher duo because it's got a lovely gold reflex to it. Okay, so when I was filming this part, the camera cut out, so sorry about that. But all I'm doing here is applying the Lumi Drops blusher with my Real Techniques sponge to the cheeks. So now my base is done. I'm going to move on to my eyes, and I'm going to prime my eyes using this Gosh eyeshadow primer. So you get the primer on one end, which is a pretty basic nude toned eye primer, and then on the other side you get this sponge applicator that you can blend it with, but I'm not going to use that, I'm just going to use my finger. So I'm just going to draw a little bit of that onto my eyelid, and then I'm just going to blend it in. Onto my eyebrows, I'm going to be using this Brow Shape and Fill, and this is like a brow pencil type product. Well, it's not exactly a pencil because it is quite thick. It's like a thick, slanted pencil that you draw and fill in your brows with, and this is in the shade Grey Brown. So it is quite pigmented, and because it's so thick, it's difficult to really get that natural feathered look with your brows. Probably have to use a brush and comb it through after when I'm finished. But it doesn't add a lot of fullness and definition though, I will say that. If you have quite sparse brows, you probably would like this because it does really fill them in. Yeah, see, I prefer that once I've combed it through. Once I've combed it through, it looks a little bit more natural. Okay, it's a little bit better. Yes, that's a bit better when you've combed it through actually. Let's do the other one. Right, so the brows are done. Now my thoughts on the brows, I do like it when I've combed it through. It is a little bit more thicker to my liking because I really do like a thin brow pencil. What I think that would be good for is if you've got really sparse brows and you need to really fill them in, that would be quite good for that because you could then just blend it out a little bit with a brow brush and really comb it through and it would look great. Now moving on to eyeshadow, I'm going to be using this Party in London eyeshadow palette from Gosh, and this has 9 metallic eyeshadow shades. So if you're a fan of your metallic eyeshadows, then hello, say hello to this guy. So I'm going to use, to start off with, this amber shade in the middle all over my lid, because you know how I love an amber shade. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this on a fluffy blending brush. And I'm just going to start to apply that to the eye. Oh yes, that's lovely. From the outset, that's really pigmented. Just done one little tap of that and that's super pigmented. I love amber and copper eyeshadows. I don't care what time of year it is, I will use them whenever I can because I just love amber tones. So now I'm just going to take some of the brown shade which is next to the amber shade, and I'm going to use that to carve out my crease a little bit. Okay, so these are very pigmented, so you don't need to use a lot. So then I'm going to use this dark blue metallic shade, which I think will complement the amber shade really well. And I'm just going to use that in the outer corner. Oh, that is so nice. Oh, there is a bit of fallout. I'll just dust away with the fan brush. And then lastly for this look, I'm going to use the shade on the top row, which is a light pinky iridescent pearly highlighter shade, and I'm just going to use some of that on the brow bone to highlight just a little bit, and also on the inner corner of my eye to highlight as well. I'm just going to go back over with that amber shade just because it's lost a little bit of its intensity where I've been blending a lot, so I'm just going to pack a little bit of that back on to the lid. So that's the eyeshadow finished. Now I do really like this palette. I think it is really good value for money, and considering it's drugstore, you get a lot of pigment and they're really easy to blend. They are a little bit tricky in the sense that there is a bit of fallout with the darker colours, so you do have to be careful when you're using those. So now on to eyeliner, which I'm really nervous about. Whenever I use a new eyeliner with my incredibly frustrating nystagmus, where my eyes do not want to stay still for 5 minutes because they move involuntarily of their own accord, whenever I do eyeliner, I always get really nervous at this point, but I'm doing this for you. So I'm going to be using this new eyeliner that's come out from Gosh, and it is the Slanted Pro Liner. So with this one, you have to shake it. It's in this little bottle thingy-mabob. It's like a little inkwell. It's like a slanted applicator. It's not a sponge, it's not a brush. I'm not entirely sure exactly what you'd call this applicator. It's a little bit intimidating, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'm gonna try it out anyway. And it's in the shade black as well. Let's see how badly I get this wrong, shall I? I'm gonna get my mirror ready because I actually use a mirror so I can look into it, so I've got something for my eyes to focus on. I'm probably not going to be able to talk for this next bit, so I'm sorry, but needs must. I am going to have to be really honest about this. I do like how pigmented it is. This is not the easiest eyeliner to use in the world, especially if you've got a visual impairment, because it is a line and it's a slanted brush and it's not pliable or movable. You literally have to make sure you're holding it in the correct position when you're doing your eyeliner, otherwise it will go wrong. You have to really make sure, because it's a slanted edge and it's not a brush where you can ease it into position, you have to make sure that you're getting it exactly in the right position and it's at the slanted flat edge, that it's lying flat on your lash line. I think if I could get used to it, I might like it, if I could get used to the technique and practice it a little bit more. Okay, so another new release from Gosh, which I'm actually quite excited to try, is an eyelash primer, and this is the Fake It Lash Primer. I have used a lash primer before and I didn't like it, and it applied quite white on the lashes, so it looked like you had snowflakes on your lashes or dandruff, and you had to really work on the mascara to actually make it look black and to actually disguise it. So I didn't really get on with that one, so I'll be quite interested to see what this one applies. Like, apparently it's grey and apparently it's got hyaluronic acid in it and it's paraben free, and apparently it adds volume to the lashes as well, and it's a base coat for any mascara to go on top of. So that's the lash primer done. I mean, it does look a little bit grey on the lashes, but it is pretty minor. It's not really noticeable, so hopefully when I put on the mascara it kind of disguises that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it definitely has separated my lashes. It feels like it's given them a bit of volume, so it still feels a little bit tacky, but it is drying. So now I'm going to move on to the mascara. Now moving on to another new product from Gosh, and this is the Blown Away mascara, and it comes in two shades, black and carbon black. And it says on here that it adds volume and length, and I do actually quite like the brush because the brush is quite small and the bristles are quite small and there's quite a lot of them. So now looking at the lashes, I definitely notice volume. That's one thing I do notice. It feels like they're a little bit more chunky, so if you like that quite chunky lash look with quite a lot of volume, you probably would like this. Now I'm going to move on to lips, and I'm going to be using a lip liner. This is one of their new lip liners, the Ultimate Lip Liners with a Twist. They are a twist up lip liner, so you don't have to sharpen them. And on the other side you've got this sponge applicator, which you can use to blend the lip liner in with afterwards. And there are 6 shades in total, and I've been sent the shade Smoothie, which I would describe as quite a dark pink, and it's got quite a rosy undertone to it. So that's the lip liner done, and I have to say I really like it. The shade is so pretty. It's like a really dark rosy tone pink, and the shade really reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in the shade Kiss Chase. So if you like that sort of pink, that really dark, quite vintage-esque pink, you probably would really like this. And the formula was really nice as well. It was really easy to apply, really creamy, easy to blend. I'm really happy with this, and I think if this formula is anything to go by, I'm going to have to go and buy the other lip liners. Last thing I'm going to use is one of the new lip oils from Gosh. There are 3 different shades, so there are 2 kind of pinky shades and then this iridescent colour, and they are made with things like argan oil. So I'm just going to use a little bit of that in the centre, and I'm just going to dab that on with my finger, just to add like a gloss to my lips. Okay, I actually really like that. That doesn't feel like I've got like a gloss on. Sometimes when I've used oils it feels like really tacky on the lips, but that just feels really moisturising, and it does feel like an oil, but in a good way, if that makes any sense. So that concludes my full face using only Gosh makeup. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. What I did love from this video was the Lumi drops. I loved the lip oil, I loved the lip liner, as I'm sure you gathered, and I was really happy with the eyeshadow palette. Be sure to hit the subscribe button down below if you're not subscribed, and also click the little bell to receive any new notifications when I make new videos. And also don't forget to like and leave a comment down below of what your favourite product from this video was, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!